Parshas Shoftim, Tavshin Ayin Ches. So this year, really, the Jewish calendar and the secular calendar a little bit contradict each other in a way. But now we're back from a few amazing weeks of giving the Shiurim in Eretz Yisrael. And of course, this year we thought that everybody would come join us there. We wouldn't have to come back, but unfortunately that was not to be. And the Zman is going on. People started, the El Zman, yeshivas are going, but yet people are still vacationing. People are away. People until, I guess, till Labor Day. This year a little bit earlier, because if you wait till Labor Day, then it's already Rosh Hashanah. But we're definitely moving along in the year. And now we are continuing these weeks that we said, the 7 weeks before Rosh Hashanah, where we read the Haftarahs of the Shiva de Nechemta, where every week the Haftarah, including last week, which was Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, and we actually took a week off from the regular readings of the Haftarah. But the Haftarah of Rosh Chodesh is always one of consolation. We read the end of Yeshaya, so the Haftarah of Rosh Chodesh is read, even though normally other things we would push off for the Shiva de Nechemta. But we read the Haftarah of Rosh Chodesh, and these are once again, the 7 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. And this week in Parshas Shoftim, we have a very, very interesting lesson from the Nesivos Shalom. And the Pasuk tells us in our Parsha, Tzedek, Tzedek Tirdoif. It means to pursue, the actual translation, righteousness, Tirdoif, you should run after it, you should pursue it. And as a result, the Pasuk tells us that if you are Tzedek, Tzedek Tirdoif, Leman Tichyeh, if you do that, then you'll be Zoiche to live, Laman Tichyeh v'yorashta es ha'oretz. You'll be Zoiche to live and to inherit Eretz Yisrael. And the Targum translates what this Tzedek Tirdoif means. The Targum tells us and elaborates Kushta Tehei Rodif. The truth twice. The truth Tehei Rodif. You should run after the truth. And the Gemara Masechta Baba Basra, Daf Ches Amud Beis, tells us that you know what this pasuk refers to? This pasuk refers to a dayan, a judge who rules. How does a judge rule? Emes la'mitoi, the truth of the truth. So Nesivos Shalom asks a question right here, which should be obvious to everybody, really. The question is, though, what is the truth of the truth? I mean, if you ask me, right, once somebody tells you they're saying the truth, how does something get more truthful? I mean, you're either saying the truth or you're not saying the truth. And if someone tells you they're saying the truth, do you ask them to make it even more truthful? What does it mean when we say Tzedek Tirdoif, or as the Targum says, Kushta, the absolute truth, Tehei Rodif? What does that mean? Also, another question we could ask is that isn't it a bit superfluous to say that a judge should say the truth? I mean, what else is a judge there for, right? I mean, if a judge doesn't say the truth, who's going to say the truth, right? So we need a special pasuk, a special lesson to us, a double lesson of the pasuk that tells us that, and the Gemara tells us that what does it refer to? That a judge should say the truth. Do we really need that? Somebody to tell us that someone who's in the judicial system should be saying the truth. It should be quite obvious, although today we know it's not necessarily true. But now we're discussing the Torah, we're discussing Dayanim, we should really know that. And the Gemara Masechta Shabbos, Daf Yud Amud Aleph also tells us something very, very interesting. And the Gemara says like this, Kol Dayan Shehu Don Din Emes emes la'amitoi. Again, a double lashon of truth. Any dayan that is actually judges emes la'amitoi, the absolute truth, the Gemara tells us, naseh shutaf la'kadosh baruch hu b'maseh bereishis. Very interesting statement here. A judge who judges correctly and says the absolute truth and gets down to the absolute truth, that judge becomes a partner with Hashem, the Gemara tells us. Becomes a partner with Hashem. We're in Maseh Bereishis. Wow, that's really something, because we know only HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. Hashem created the world, and imagine, you're a judge that actually judges with the absolute truth, and the Gemara says, you know what you become? You become a partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Maseh Bereishis, as if you helped Hashem, whatever that means, we'll discuss it in a moment, you helped Hashem create the world. And it would seem that the Gemara is telling us that just saying the absolute truth is a very, very high madrega indeed, because we're promising you a partnership with Hashem. It must be that it's a very, very high madrega. And we need to understand why you are zoiche to such a high madrega of becoming a partner with Hashem just for saying the truth. So let's analyze this a little bit. The Nesivos Shalom tells us from the Torah Sa'avos on our pasuk that really we need to know, if you want to analyze truth, there is a first level of truth that is intellectual. Somebody thinks in their mind, and you come up with something what you would consider the intellectual truth. Your brain, your mind tells you that this is the truth. But above that, says the Nesivos Shalom, there's a truth that's even stronger, and that is the truth of the heart. Where in your, as we say, in your heart of hearts, you know and you feel that something is true. Because there are times that you'll come up intellectually with all the cheshbonot, with all the cheshbonos that you make in your mind, you come up intellectually with something you think is the truth. But in your heart, you have questions. So that is kushta tehei radiv. When we say the double truth, what we're talking about is that if Hashem gives you the siyata d'shmaya to establish truth in your mind, to establish truth intellectually, where the pasuk is telling you, keep your pursuit of the truth until, don't speak until your heart feels it too, until you know in your heart of hearts, because people know, sometimes you talk to people and you say, I don't know, this guy doesn't smell, it sounds right, but there's something wrong over here, right? Every person has that sixth sense to know if something is really true in your heart. So the pasuk is telling you, tzedek tirdoy, kushta tehei radif, as the Targum says, that even after intellectually you might think something is true, keep working on it until in your heart you know. And we've spoken many times over the years this idea that although this world is actually known, and this world is given a name as the Olam HaSheker, that Olam Hazeh is full of things that are not necessarily thought out or true, Hashem, we know, still wanted to have a dwelling place. When we made the Mishkan, Hashem said, Hashem said, even though there are so many complexities and so many things in this world that actually don't make sense, it might be an Olam HaSheker, Hashem said, still, I want a place, one corner of this world, one corner that will be the truth. And where we're going to pursue the truth until the end. And Hashem says, that is what I want. I want my residence on this world, but obviously not in every place in this world. Hashem says, I want my residence in a corner of the world that is the absolute and complete truth. And that is why, says the Nesivos Shalom, a dayan, a judge who pursues the absolute truth becomes a partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's such a high madrega, such a high level. Why is that? You know why? Because you're creating that place that Hashem is looking for a place to dwell in this world. Hashem wants to live amongst us, but you know where Hashem is going to live? Hashem is only going to dwell in a place that's the absolute truth. And when a judge goes ahead and establishes and makes a place that has the absolute truth, you become a partner with Hashem in Ma'aseh Bereishis. You created that corner of the world. You created a place where Hashem, Kaviyachol, feels comfortable. And as we all know, that there are times that a Dayan may think and even understand in his mind that the facts are correct and that a verdict will be emes. Yet in his heart, he feels that something's just not right. So you need to pursue and continue to seek out the truth and make sure it's the absolute truth, because there are times that even the heart feels that it's right, but something, your entire being, is just not feeling it. You're not feeling the truth. So the Torah tells us that you don't just need to be a true person. You don't just need to have the emes. You need to find the absolute truth. And if you do, if you're a person who lives the epitome and the pinnacle and looks for that high level of truth, you become a partner with Hashem who also carves out a true place for himself in this world, in this Olam HaSheker. So the Nesivos Shalom tells us that after having said this, the lesson that we need to learn from here, the lesson that we need to learn from our Parsha, from this place in our Parsha, is the importance of the total and absolute truth. And it's not just for a judge, says the Nesivos Shalom. Of course, it applies to somebody in the judicial system. You need to do and pursue the absolute truth. But it applies for every one of us in business. It applies to every one of us as a person. How do we conduct ourselves? Do we conduct ourselves with honesty? But not just honesty, with absolute honesty, that we should know in our heart that we feel comfortable in our business. We feel comfortable in our dealing with customers, in our dealing with other people. Are we comfortable, absolutely comfortable in our hearts, dealing with the people around us? And by following the laws of the Torah, that's our barometer. That is our direction toward the absolute truth. We say, Titein emes liyakov. How do we come to emes? How do we receive? How do we get to emes? That is only through the Torah. What we perceive as intellectually being the truth may be very off. Titein emes liyakov. But if we know that our director, the way we are going is the way of the Torah, then we will arrive at the absolute truth. And Nesivos Shalom brings a story. I just want to end off with a quick story of a Din Torah. And in the Din Torah, the Rav was Machayev one party. He said, you have to pay. And the person came over to the Rav after, and he says, I believe totally in the Torah. I believe that you arrived at your decision and that I'm going to pay. I have to pay. He said, there's only one problem. I know that it's not true. I know that I don't owe the person the money. The guy ripped me off. So I believe totally that in the Torah, by the laws of the Torah, and I'm going to follow the laws of the Torah, but I know it's not true. So you know what the Rav told him? He says, I want to tell you that in another lifetime, in another Gilgal, another lifetime, you actually owe this person money. So the laws of the Torah, while you may not understand them, but if you follow the laws of the Torah, the absolute truth will come out, even if we don't understand it. So that's the way we have to conduct ourselves in business, with our friends, with people around us, with the absolute truth, to follow the ways of the Torah, to follow true and honesty, and with that, we become even a partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world.